Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night Broadcast, sponsored by DE and Band of Brothers around the world. Got a special guest tonight, one of my brothers from Kansas City, Casey Berry. Casey's been coming to DE now for a few years. Let him tell his story, but most of you know him. He's graduated from Cleveland Chiropractic College 19 years ago, been in practice, got a beautiful daughter and two beautiful stepdaughters, a more beautiful wife. Life is good. DE has changed his life, and as you guys saw or heard at the last Pray to Stars, he's rocking it. His practice has exploded from two DEs to last DE, and he's going to tell the story about his shoulder. He had a boo-boo. But before we go to Casey, remember that January 29th through February 1st is the next DE. Again, it's the Atlanta Perimeter and the Marriott Perimeter there in Atlanta. Great place to have a seminar. And again, reach out to your teams. The purple team should be connecting every day in every way. And everybody just, again, a lot of stuff happens. A lot of stuff comes up. You celebrate your victories, and maybe you need some help. Reach out to your teammates, and that's what we're there for, okay? So, again, get registered for the next DE. It's going to be awesome. And tonight, our special guest is Dr. Casey Berry from Kansas City. Take it over, Dr. Casey.
Thanks, Andy. So good evening, everybody. So a lot of you know I've been coming to these since January of 18, and like to start with an attitude of gratitude for not just what DE's done, but a man that a lot of us never met, Dr. Sid, having the guts to go out and protect this great profession that we're in, but also to start DE so that, all of us can stay dipped in the principle. But some of us, like me and a lot of others, we didn't know a lot of this stuff coming out of school. And so, I want to thank him and thank all the ones that followed him, that keep it going, that keep it growing. And hopefully, we can help just bring it on up as we keep going. I've noticed this past DE was a lot busier, a lot more people there. So it was great. And then thankful to all the people I've met since 2018 that's helped me along the way. Andy for bringing me and not giving up. There's so many. Dana Becher, we're always talking. Steve and, Paul and Jamie and Dan too. And just so many others that's been there and for me through a lot of stuff. And, a lot of you know the story. I won't go too deep into my backstory for how I got there, but, I was in practice for 11 years. It was brutal. I was a single dad trying to, raise a kid, run a practice, and it was a mixer practice, but it was kind of just a hodgepodge of crap that I was trying to do and trying to make money. And then coming to DE in 2018 on the verge of quitting in the middle of a custody battle. It was a lot that was going on, but I know from my first DE on, I fell in love with what DE meant and what it stood for and really what chiropractic truly is. And so we get asked a lot of questions all the time. Would you stand up for it? Absolutely. I don't care if you don't want to be in my office because you don't believe in what we want to do for you, then, we let people go in a loving manner, but a lot of them come back. But it's just last week, it's hard for me to remember really what happened to DE just because of what happened the last day. DE was pretty stupid. I was up getting a shower, ready to go, and slipped, fell, dislocated my collarbone, tore my AC joint on my right side. And I've already had trouble with that right arm from an injury back in college playing baseball that ended my career. So that injury did not hurt as much as this one. But honestly, Andy Cook, he was the first call I made because he was a few floors up. And I couldn't tell you how much pain I was in, but I could tell you the fear that I had, and we talked about fear back in July. but it wasn't the fear of that I had in July when Steve stood me up and had me answer some questions, but it was like seeing my life flash before my eyes. And, I wouldn't be able to adjust people, help people, and serve people. And it made me think about, have I taken this for granted over the years? And I think to an extent, probably, like especially the very beginning of my career and probably a little bit throughout the last 6-7 years, but I was taking it for granted. Just being a chiropractor, a little growth here and there. And on the plane ride home, it just made me think about, where my office is. It's obviously not where I want it to be, but we've hit 300 a few times since July. I've never been to that number before. In reality, I've been to it a lot in my mind. But really seeing how much I focused since July and wasn't taking it for granted, was actually getting out of my own way, stop holding myself back, and get rid of that fear. And I think one of the most profound moments I've had at DE since I've been coming is Steve's impromptu talk when Dean got sick. So Steve had to get up, and I honestly I think that, we all go through things, or things happen because God needs it to happen. And maybe he needed Steve to get up there and talk and call me out. And when that happened, it was really awesome, to the fact that I could feel a change happening in the instant. And, Steve can be very loving but aggressive, and he and I'll talk, and he's gotten on me quite a bit. That helped a lot. But this whole year started with Dan Beckshire reaching out to me back in March, getting on to me for being stubborn and hard-headed, and the office wasn't doing real well. It was a struggle since the end of last year, so about this time last year. So Dan got on to me, and I really started turning things around. And then that July DE happened, and things just blew up and have kept blowing up ever since then. And so it's been great for me. But another thing from that July DE is it wasn't just me that stood up and kind of fessed up to what was going on in our lives. Jamie, she got up and she talked about it. Dan too, he walked all the way from the back and talked about it. And then Paul Blumsack, he got up as well. And something came over me at that DE that, Jamie and Paul and Dan, they didn't need to do it by themselves. And that's one thing I've learned there at DE, that none of us are alone. And I've always loved listening to all three of them talk, tried to get to know them over the years. And, I thought like it was a mild friendship leading into July. But I really feel like after that, I got spoke to at DE. I reached out to all three of them while I sat there and told them they weren't alone, and we're going to work it out together. So every day we all talk. We talk individually. I talk to each one of them. They might all get the same text from me in the morning, or they might each get something individual. But, over the course of the last few months, just by me talking to them daily to begin the day and to end the day, and sometimes occasionally I'll get text, or I'll send them a text in the middle of the day. It's really helped me focus and realize that chiropractic, as much as we're in our offices and we're solo, and maybe we're not solo, but we have a CA, but you're still leading the charge by yourself in your office. But really, if you reach out and you can touch people, and you can, not just think of them as friends, but think of them as family, they've really helped me get through the past few months and for me to grow. So as much as it's a lot of stuff we're doing in our office, it's that little band of brothers that we have, that we talk every day. It's talking to Dana Beckshire weekly or multiple times a week. And, and then all of these things, JJ Schmidt and I are talking quite a bit here in Kansas City, because we got some stuff going on. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this place has changed everything for me. I was full of hate, full of cocky confidence, carrying that over from my baseball playing days. but it's really made me step back and grow as a person and grow as a be able to become a husband. I didn't have anybody when I was first coming. And I really feel that if it wasn't for DE, I wouldn't have met my wife. And my daughter and I wouldn't have been able to work through our issues. So if you're out there and you're thinking, man, I'm just scared. I'm scared of starting a practice. If you were new to DE this time, or maybe I'm scared to change things in my office. You don't have to be. I mean, you don't have to change it with everybody that came in from day 1 to day 500. You don't have to completely tweak it with them. But what if you just started changing it with every new person that walked in the door? And that's what I started doing all the way back in 18, but really back here in July, my CA and I really just decided we're going to change everything and start with every new patient. And the people that keep coming in, they're going to keep coming in. And if we've had a lot of failures trying to change things and make things better for people and serve them better, and 20 people walked in and 20 people walked out, but we knew we were doing it the right way out of our heart and in the eyes of God, then he would reward us. And, we had a lot of failures at the beginning, but the people that kept coming in kept us afloat and kept us pushing forward. And then all of a sudden, one positive turned into 5 positives, turned into 20 positives. And it's really been awesome to go to almost double the practice since July, to go from about 176 average to we're averaging almost 280 a week, touching 300. And then, last week with the injury, I could have let that go by. And I don't know if anybody watches stuff, but on Mondays, we started doing a motivational Monday. And yesterday I was talking about adversity and, 11 years of adversity, baseball career ending. I was adverse, having a kid out of wedlock and raising her by myself, adversity, but I still never gave up. And then last week, seeing my bones stick out of my arm, man, that shit was real adverse. But I knew before I even walked out of the hotel that I couldn't let myself down. I couldn't let my family down. But my family wasn't just who I was coming home to. I mean, I was excited to get home. I just wanted my wife to give me a hug. But it was every doc I saw before I left, Balsamo and Steve and Drew. And I can't remember who else was at the table with me. And then riding back with one of my best friends, Andy Cook, and his wife, that made my everything better. But it made me realize, like, it doesn't matter what's happening. I got 2 hands. I can adjust with the left one. They might not get my adjustment that I've always given, but they were going to get adjusted, and the intent was going to be there, and they were going to get better. And the office still grew last week. And it was just that serving through the BS, that we talk about at DE. So I think just with everything that I've been through, I know that there's no way I would be where I'm at, not just in my office, but in my life right now, without this place, without what Dr. Sid put in his mind and then created, and Dr. Umber helping him create it. I don't think any of us would be here, but I know that each time I get to DE and I give my friends a hug, I'm giving like a brother or sister a hug, and it's the best place I've ever been to. It's the best thing I've ever been a part of. And, I was a part of a lot of great things in baseball. I mean, you guys see it in my background, but none of that even can touch how much this place means to me, and how much I want to be a part of it for the rest of my life and the rest of my career. And I want to bring more people and save more people, because, I wrote this down. It's more than DE is more than a conference on chiropractic and lasting purpose. It's a life-changing movement for us as chiropractors and humanity. It changed and continues to change my life every time I come. It's family to me, but also what it does is you never know how far reaching. Well, I don't think Dr. Sid could really realize how far reaching what he was doing was going to do. Because if we all sit and think about each other, not in the sense that I want to be I want to have an office like Andy Harding, or I want to have an office like Dan or Steve or Brian or whoever. Just think about each other and think about what we're doing in our offices, how many people we're taking care of every day, not for the money that's in their pockets, but for the love that we can share. And think if we all were seeing just 250 people a week and it's spread out all over our offices, how many people we're actually changing? That is it just 250, or is it you multiply your numbers times 10, how many people you're changing? And then those people that get changed go out and change other people. So this place has the ability to change just numerous numbers of people over and over again with every adjustment, but even more importantly, with every amount of love we can shine through in this world today, especially nowadays, because there's so much hate and distaste for people because they have an opinion or they don't like something. Who gives a shit? Just, love people. And that's what this place comes from. It comes from a place of love. And it's just the best place, I think. One of the things that I decided to start to tackle back in July was DE Club, because I feel like Andy Harding and I and Cook and JJ are kind of on an island out here in the Midwest. You go to DE and most of you guys are on the East Coast, whether it's all the way up in Maine and you just follow that East Coast all the way down into Florida. You're hitting all those states and things like that. So you guys are kind of like a big stretch of DE people over there. And we're kind of over here by ourselves. So JJ and I have tackled the DE Club. We've been putting it together, working on it. We've got a student already. I brought her in July, Sydney Welburn. She's working on, she's going to be our president, and she's working on signatures so they can get into the school. And it's kind of crazy. I ran into Dr. Cleveland a few weeks ago when I was doing a talk over there, and he was all excited. So he's wanting to push the DE Club, told me we needed it in there in the school. So JJ and I are continuously trying to get that going. We're still working on getting our band of brothers. We're meeting every couple weeks here now. We've got to keep taking it. So if you're somewhere else in the country and you're all by yourself, start a band of brothers. Work on a DE Club if you got a school nearby. I don't know what I'm doing. So I've reached out to Frances over at Sherman, and she's helped us a lot. And, it doesn't matter. Just you got to keep taking that next step. And at some point, we're going to get it into Cleveland over here and start getting more kids coming in. I know JJ's brought a lot of kids to Band of Brothers lately. We got one kid that he was going to go to med school, and then he decided to go to chiropractic school so he can be a functional medicine doctor. And he shouted me, and he's come to Band of Brothers, and he's completely changed his mind that he really feels the heart in a DE office, and that's what he wants to do. So if a kid that's in chiropractic school that's lost when he's going in can do it and figure it out by watching, then what are all these other people that come in our office feeling? So if you're full of hate or fear or whatever, reach out. I've been down that path. Everybody's has a path, and you got to reach out to somebody that's been down that path. And because we all go through things for a reason, and that reason's probably to help somebody else out that's going through it. So if you're full of hate and you don't love anybody, call me. I can talk you through that one. Call Andy Harding. He's the one that helped me get through that, or serving through an injury or whatever. There's so many of us out there that's probably had something like that. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with right now. We're here, and we're a band of brothers and sisters and family that's going to pull, not just pull for each other, but they're going to be able to look each other in the eye and tell you what you're doing wrong and suck it up and keep moving. It's not out of being mad at you. It's out of caring for you, but also knowing what you can give to the world if you get out of your own way. And I just want to say that, closing, that I love this place. I love every single person that I run into at DE, and I look forward to seeing you guys all the time. And I am so grateful for for what DE's given me, my family. And, you know, I won't take this for granted. I'm going to keep working hard and not just grow the office, but do whatever I can on my end to help continue to grow DE so that those chairs aren't empty anymore. And it gets back up to where it used to be back in the olden days, you know. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you in January.
Hey, brother, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, I want everybody to listen to this. When you first came to DE, didn't you say you were seeing around 70 people a week?
35.
35 people a week.
Yeah.
After 12 years of practice. Is that right?
Yeah, I was working 6 days a week.
6 days a week, 12 years into practice, 35 a week. You stuck with it. You stuck with it. You stuck with it, right?
Yep.
Sometimes wishing you were out of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You come to DE and your practice goes from 35 a week up to 176 a week. And then
it went, yeah, in the first 4 weeks, it went down after DE. On the fourth week, it went to 100. And then I was settled around 176 from like summer of 2018 until this summer. And then I've gotten to over 300 this summer, since this summer.
Between one DE to the next DE went from 176 to 300.
Yep.
All right, everybody. I hope you heard that, because again, he's been practicing for 12 years, still struggled, did well at DE, but then all of a sudden the floodgates open, right? That's how fast it can happen if you just tap in. And now, like you said, Banner Brothers and the teams, you reached out, you started talking to Dan too. You started talking to Dan Baxter. You started talking to I'm sorry, I can't remember, Jamie and Paul. And then we have an accountability group. Get involved. And the best way to do it is use your teams. Everybody, there's a way to communicate with your team members, and just ask. You ask, you shall receive. It's biblical, and it's DE.
One thing I forgot to say on here was, I've got it written on my computer. I read it every morning. It's 2 Chronicles 15:7. But as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded. So that's the reminds me not to give up. And I wrote that down the Monday after DE in July.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So again, the whole infrastructure set up for everybody to succeed, but you got to go out and stick to it and ask for help, and help is on the way.
Yes, it is.
Great job, brother. Great job. Love
Thanks,
everybody. Have a great
night.
Guys. Next week we'll have another great speaker, but may want to re-listen to this one this week and just kind of pay attention to what he said. Love you all. Have a great night. Thank you.
See you guys. Love you.
Casey. Appreciate you.
Yep. Bye.